Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for another video. And this is another review show revisited. So what is a review show revisited? Well, the idea is very simple. We review a lot of items every single week. In the Review Show Revisited, we take all of the items that we've reviewed over the last weeks, months and years, and we go and perform them in the real world. We let you see a real world performance of all of these tricks, and then we talk about if it stands up in the real world. I love doing these Review Show Revisiteds because sometimes we'll give something a bad review, we'll perform it, and we'll realise it's actually really good. Sometimes we'll give something a good review, and we'll take it out and we'll realise it's actually not very good. And you never know till you go and perform it in the real world. We try to do live performances of every single trick that we review, studio performances. It's not possible to do live, with the amount of stuff we review, it's not possible to do live performances every single week. But what we try to do as many Review Show Revisiteds as we can. And today we're going to be looking at 3 tricks, slightly cheating this week because one of the tricks we're going to be looking at we never reviewed, but so many people have asked to see a performance of it that so many people have asked about this particular trick that even though we've never reviewed it, we're going to do a Review Show Revisited on it so we can talk about it right now. So anyway, with that being said, it's another Ryland Petty Review Show special this week, or Review Show Revisited this week, because all 3 of the tricks have been performed by Ryland at the House of Secrets in Blackpool as part of his show. So we're going to go straight into it with the first item on the Review Show Revisited. Let's go. Okay, so first up, we're going to be talking about the 20th Century Silk Frame, which we reviewed on a 5x5 about a year and a half ago, although it's a little bit older than that. Now, we got this from Practical Magic. What is the 20th Century Silk Frame? Well, it is a way of doing the 20th century silks, but without actually needing to use the traditional method. So the traditional method of 20th century silks is you take a couple of... You have 3 handkerchiefs. You have 2 blue and 1 red, for example. You tie the 2 blue hankies together, you put them into a glass, or you put them tucked down your top. You take the red handkerchief, you make it vanish, and then you show that the red handkerchief has become tied in between the 2 blue handkerchiefs. And there's a couple of different ways that you can actually do this. The method typically is the same in that there's a pocket handkerchief, and it's very clever. You know, I've used the traditional 20th century silks in my kids act for years. In fact, if you ever go onto YouTube and you type in how to run an awesome kids party, Craig Betty Magic TV, you'll see a video of me doing the 20th century silks in that show. It's a great trick for kids shows, it really is, but it's also a great trick for sort of a family audience or a cruise show audience or a holiday park audience. In fact, Scott Alexander, rest in peace, and Puck brought out something called Hanky Panky years ago, which was the traditional 20th century silks, but also used an extra gimmick that allowed some extra visual moments. Anyway, what we're looking at here is not the traditional method. This allows you to do 20th century silks, but without actually needing to use that pocket handkerchief, that traditional method. And what you have instead is you have a frame. And the frame has 2 holes on either side. You take 2 handkerchiefs and you push them in through the holes, and you then put a balloon inside the frame. So the balloon goes inside the frame. You then take a different coloured handkerchief. You make that handkerchief vanish. It travels through the air, and when you pop the balloon, it appears tied in between the other 2 handkerchiefs. And it's a very different method for doing this trick. Now, the thing with this trick is a lot of people think that there's only 1 or 2 ways that you can perform 20th century silks, which is typically as a performance piece. So it's typically as like a kid show thing, like, hey, I'm going to make it disappear, or the way that Scott Alexander would do it as comedy piece. And that's absolutely fine. But Ryland uses this very, very differently. He actually uses it as a... what does he do? He actually uses it to music. And so he brings up the subject of time travel. And he talks about how he's a big fan of Back to the Future and how he's always wanted to travel back in time. And he's realized that time travel is possible. And he's going to show the audience how to actually travel backwards in time. Watch this. And he has the handkerchiefs already tied together in the frame. And then he takes them out. And to music, he does the 20th century silks, which is a really nice way of doing it. And it kind of illustrates illustrates that just because somebody does something the same way, just because it's always traditionally done the same way, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it that way. So this is a perfect example. So let's have a look at a performance of Ryland doing the 20th century silk frame. And then when he's done the performance of it, we'll bring it back into the studio and I'll talk about how it went and what we think of it.
This is how we're really going to start off. You ready? Yeah. Now, we're going to go back in time. Remember this moment in time where a green handkerchief is tied between two red handkerchiefs. Now.
So that's 20th century silk frame. Now, first of all, I think the method is better than the traditional 20th century silks. Not that there's anything wrong with the method for 20th century silks. I've done it for years. I don't want people to say, oh, Craig's hating on 20th century silks. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think for a kind of a performance like this, where it's all done to music, that this frames the moment, pardon the pun, it frames the moment a little bit better because they can see exactly what's going on. Look, there's the two silks. Inside the frame, there's the balloon, boom, it's there. Now, a couple of points. We got our silk frame from Practical Magic, which is a fantastic shot run by Gary Dunn, so you can actually get it from there. And the moment where the thing just pops and the balloon just disappears and the handkerchief just appears there, boom, it's a great moment. It really is. And it's really strong. So, yeah. So the first thing I want to say is that moment right there when the silk just appears inside the silk frame is great, because normally you don't see the visual moment of the silk appearing. Normally you pull the handkerchief out either from the glass or from the table or from your t-shirt and they see it appear, but there's not a visual moment. While with this, there's an actual visual moment, which makes it better in my opinion. Also, I love the music choice for this. I love the routining. I mean, obviously that makes no bearing on the actual trick itself, but I do love the time travel element of it. I think that's really good. And also the way that Ryland vanishes the handkerchief is an old gimmick that you can also get from Practical Magic. So when you're picking up the silk frame, you can pick that up off them as well. And it's a really nice way to vanish a handkerchief without using a change bag or without using a hanky ball. Because the problem with Ryland is his hands are very small. So when he's using big handkerchiefs, a hank ball is too big for his hands. And a change bag really kind of just brings... I think anytime you bring a change bag out and you're not doing a kid show, it doesn't look great, because I think people associate that change bag with kid shows, whilst if you can use a different prop in order to make that handkerchief disappear, I think that's even better, and that's what we have here. So that prop is actually also available from Practical Magic. But yeah, I mean, we gave this a great review. We reviewed it a couple of years ago. We gave it a great review, and as you can see, Ryland's doing it in his show all the time, and I think it is a fantastic trick. Whether you're planning on doing it as a patter-based trick, or whether you're planning on doing it as a music, you know, with music over the top, whether you're planning on doing it in a kid show or a stage show, I think this is worth its weight in gold. And it's also one of those, sometimes you see tricks like this that people might put in a kid's show and it doesn't fool the adults. This one absolutely does blow the adults away. They have no idea how it's done, which is great, which is why it will work just as well in like a corporate show as it will in a kid's show. So there you go. That's the silk frame. That's the first thing that we're going to be looking at today on today's Review Show Revisited. Let's move on to the second prop. Okay, so the second thing we're going to be looking at is Blake Voigt's Acro Index. Now, this got reviewed a little while ago. We're not reviewing the Acro Index. This isn't the review. We've done a couple of reviews of Blake's Acro Index. Way back in the day, we did a review of the normal Acro Index. Then we did a review of the stage Acro Index. And then we did another review of the stage Acro Index, but you get 6 of them along with a holder, and it allows you to do stuff like you're about to see Ryland do. So what this is a presentation that Blake Voigt came up with for the stage size Acro Index. And when you buy it, you get 6 Acro Index, and you also get the piece of plastic that holds all 6 of them, right? And what it allows you to do, it allows you to do one of those multiple choice routines, a little bit like of Dice and Men by Tom Stone, but instead of actually having a fake dice that you roll, so therefore you're forcing the number, you actually have a completely free choice. They can pick any number they want to, and when they pick the number and they turn it around, you can show it's whatever you wanted it to be. So you can use that Tom Stone hug kill style presentation, or you can do what Ryland's doing here, which is kind of like gum and money, which is Blake's routine that Ryland's just blatantly lifted, to be honest. Well, he bought the trick, so I think he's allowed to. But excuse me, yeah, that moment there where they have a free choice of number, I think just elevates this to the next level. Now, I know I've seen various different versions of this come out over the years. One of the things I like best about Blake's is there's no invisible elastic thread to break. A lot of the ones that I've played around with like this before, there's thread, and the thread breaks and then it's just not usable at all. Whilst with this, that's not the case. The system is actually very, very different. And also what's really nice about it is you can have the gum and you can have the money stuck to it. So it's not just something that you can write on, but you can have stuff stuck to it as well. Now, if you haven't seen the performance of it, I'm going to show you the performance right now. So this is a performance of Ryland doing the Acro Index routine. Let's have a look at that. And then once we've looked at it, we'll talk about how it stood up compared to the original review.
Here I have 6 numbers. On the back of each number, there is a prize. So all you're going to do is you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Name anyone.
Name one now?
Yeah, name one.
Number 4.
Now, you sure you want number 4? So this one right here?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Sure. You sure it's going to work? Okay, so I'm going to take number 4 here. Now what you want, if I can grab it, what you want is a stick of gum. By the way, you can turn the house lights down now if you want. Okay, so we've got a stick of gum. So that's what you want. So I'm just going to grab it here. Here you go. You can go.
So Ryland and I gave this a really great review. We gave it 100%, and I stand by that review. This is fantastic. Now, it's not cheap. It's about $300 or something like that. So you need to have an idea in mind of how you're going to use this. You can't just go and do it. You don't just go and buy it. Actually have an idea in mind first. When Ryland saw this on Blake Voigt's socials, he knew he wanted to do the money gum trick. It fitted with him as a kid, and it's just a really funny bit for him to put in his show. And because there's a lot of music music in his show, and there's a lot of moments where he's not talking. Having this as a nice little break and interlude between that works really well, almost like a front of cloth style thing. But you know, you could do it as a hug kill. You could do it as anything that you want to. Any moment where you're going to have 6 choices and they get a free choice of any one, and you force that choice, and you can show that the others, you know, are completely different. You can use that for this. This for me is not cheap, but it is the absolute best way that I have found of doing a routine like this. There is no other way, and I've reviewed many of them, and some of them are great, some of them are not so great. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. This is fantastic because it really does pack very, very small. It plays really, really big, and it gives you a free choice, and you're never going to have anything break because there's no moving parts, there's no thread, there's nothing for it to break. So this is great. I'm going to give it 100% again because it got 100% before. I think I stand by that review. If you're looking to add something quick into your show that packs small, plays big, this is something that you absolutely should include into your show. It's really good. So with that being said, we're now going to move on to the final trick that we're going to be looking at this week. So the final trick we're going to be looking at this week is the master prediction system. And this is the one that I said at the very beginning of the video, we're cheating a little bit because we never reviewed this. Now, the master prediction system has been something that I've used for years, and then I had it years ago and then got rid of it and then bought it back again and so on and so forth. It's now a feature of my show. It's a feature of Ryland's show. It's also a feature of Matt's show. If you saw the final to the Matchomentary, Matt used this exact master prediction system in order to do the finale of his show. So what is the master prediction system? Well, if you ever saw Colin Keys on America's Got Talent many, many years ago, you'll know what it is. The master prediction system basically allows you to have a case, a locked case, a locked chest on stage the entire time, and you can, at any point that you want to, show that you've had a prediction in there from the very beginning, which matches all of the choices that the audience has made. Now, there's many different ways to do this, and there's many, and if you saw the Matchomentary, you'll know that Matt went one way with this. Ryland tends to go with another way. He talks about planning his perfect birthday party. And by the way, if you're ever, putting an act together, especially for stage, one of the big pieces of advice I'll give you is, structure your presentations around what it is that you're interested in. Be true to your character. I've seen so many kids that are slightly older than Ryland, and they talk about when I was traveling in India, and they've just ripped the presentation off the thing that comes. And one of the things that I have always drilled home to Ryland is that when you're presenting a trick, you need to fit into who you are. You're a kid. So what would a kid do? A kid would talk about their perfect birthday party. Look at the way Matt performed this. He talking about creating memories, and let's create our perfect holiday memory together. Also notice when we used this in the Matchomentary, it was hung up. We had a stand that it was hung off, which is great, but that's not always possible. The House of Secrets is very small, and so you can see when we do the House of Secrets, the chest is just put on the corner of the stage and it's just there the entire time. You don't necessarily need it hung up. One thing that people have said to me with the master prediction system, and by the way, we use a Malloy master prediction system. I know there's various different ones, including Wellington. This is a Malloy master prediction system using the table and not the step ladder. Well, let's have a look at a performance of it, shall we? So let's have a look at a performance of the master prediction system, and then we'll bring it back and I can talk about, exactly why it's so good.
Perfect birthday, there are 4 things. I'll go through them, and we're going to try to create the perfect birthday. Now, they've got to be good because it's the perfect birthday. So, the first thing is, we go downstairs, we wake up on the birthday, we go downstairs, and we have breakfast. What is the breakfast? Yeah. Cereal. Good breakfast. Now, what type of cereal? Cornflakes. So we get up and we have cornflakes. Yeah? So we get up, we have cornflakes, then we go into the front room and we have, we open up the presents, and we have a really good present. What's that really good present? Any good present. Scooter. So we wake up, we go downstairs, we have cornflakes. Then what we do is we go into the front room, we open up the presents, and we get a scooter. Then we go out and we do the activity. What is that activity? Yeah. Skipping. So we wake up, we go downstairs, we have cornflakes. We go into the front room, we open up the presents, and we get a scooter. Then we go and do an activity, and that activity is skipping. Then when we go home, we have a party, and there's one celebrity at the party. What's a celebrity? Any celebrity? You done.
The king.
The king. So the king is at the party.
That's a party.
Okay, so that's the perfect birthday. Now that has got stuff in it, so we're not going to use that because that might thing. So can I have a table, please? Thank you. I'll sort that out in the second half so we can use that table. There's stuff in it. So, we got the table here. Now, you've been watching the box the whole time, haven't you? Was it you? Yeah, you and you have been watching the box. Now, who's got the keys?
Yeah, well, yeah, I have the keys.
Do you want to just throw them over?
Yeah.
Got them. So, we've got the keys, we've got the box. You can see that there is a padlock on the box. We take the padlock. We're going to open it like this. Take it. So, okay, right. Get it lined up. Yeah. Right, so, I'm going to open the box. Got the keys. Padlock is off. I'm going to open it up. Alright. So, we had a perfect birthday. And that, for a perfect birthday, there are a few things. So, 4 things, as I said. There's one thing inside this. Now, that one thing is a tube. Now, this tube has a piece of paper in it. Inside the piece of paper, no, not there. We want a piece of paper. That goes in there. Okay, so where the piece of paper is, it says perfect birthday. Now, for the perfect birthday, as I said, there are 4 things. Those 4 things are, ready? Cornflakes.
No way.
We got scooter. We go skipping. And then we have the king of the party.
So there you go. Now, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can actually use this prop. It doesn't necessarily have to be as a prediction. You could borrow a mobile phone and have it appear inside a chest that's on the stage the entire time. Absolutely, 100%. I think the best use of it is as a confabulation style routine. I think that it just kills every single time you use it in that way. It kills. But something that you need to bear in mind is that you need a secret assistant in order to be able to do this. The amount of people that saw this being used in Matt's show and the Matchomentary, and they asked me what the prop was called. It's called the Master Prediction System, but it's not the sort of thing that you can just do if you're a one. You can't. You need a secret assistant, and you need a backstage area. Is the thing. You need to have somebody backstage who can help you, who you can trust. You can't just get somebody in from the venue. There need to be somebody who understands the workings of the trick and understands the workings of the act, and they need to be backstage, and there has to be a backstage area. They can't be just off to one side where everybody can see them. It has to be a backstage area. As long as you've got a backstage, and as long as you've got that ability to have somebody backstage, then you're fine. Ryland's never got a problem, but it's always because he's always got a chaperone when he goes and does a show. He's always got me or he's got Sarah with him, so that's never an issue. When I go and do a show, typically I've got my illusion show out, so I've got people backstage who can help me. Same with Matt, so it's never really an issue. But you need to see it because they're not cheap. Master prediction systems aren't cheap. So you need to think through whether you've got the type of show being booked in the type of events that would make this a viable option to perform, because it's not always a viable option. It can be, but it's not always a viable option. So please bear that in mind, because it would be a lot of money to spend to have this prop just sitting there doing nothing. And that's what would happen if you bought it and you were just like, basically, if you're looking to put a show together and you're a close-up magician and you want to put a show together and you want to kind of do an add-on to a wedding gig, but you don't have like a backstage or anything like that, and you're doing more of a floor show, this is not the trick for you. But if you're in a situation where you do have a backstage area and you've got somebody who can help you, then this is a absolute reputation-making trick, and something that not a lot of people do. And so it's because it's something that not a lot of people do, it kills when you actually perform it. So I've never reviewed it. If I gave it a review, I'd give it like 1,000,000%, because I do this all the time. But that's because I get to perform in the sort of places where this is viable. So please bear that in mind. Yeah, that's the Master Prediction System. So for everybody who asked me to review the Master Prediction System, you're welcome. Hopefully that helped. So there you go, guys. That's another review show revisited in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you want to see another review show revisited? Let me know in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again tomorrow at 9 o'clock with another video, 6 o'clock with another video. I'm all over the place. And don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, you can do so. It's www.thenetrix.com. You can go see all the fuss is about, and also you can go and check out my new online shop at www.magictv.org. I'll see you again. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig for Magic TV.